Welcome to Two Idiots and a Dog, Idiots Unleashed!
They're in your podcasts, your neighbors' homes, even your own. They have come to destroy your childhood and ruin your future. Only one podcast can protect you from these idiots.
But we're the idiots.
I never said it was this podcast.
Sorry, Invasion of the Remake.
Sorry.
I'm Krim.
I'm Zolgar, and I'm going to see how long I can keep this voice.
Fine, then I'm just gonna match it. Just
a quick warning. We don't
It's
know
an
who's doing
uncensored
what.
podcast. We're professional.
Just a quick warning. This is an uncensored podcast, so you may hear adult language or other content not suited for children, the workplace, church, or even human consumption, or consuming humans. Before we get started, I think we need a disclaimer.
But we just had one.
Yes, but what about second disclaimer?
Alright, so what is the second disclaimer?
This episode is a little bit more political than we usually like to get on main.
Ooh, we're gonna get spicy!
Maybe too spicy.
This week, our topic is toxic tropes and other stupid cliches.
And overused tropes, more specifically.
Submitted by...
I think this was delinquent behavior.
Whatever. If you have an idea for a topic for us, you can let us know on our Discord or social media, but you can only vote in the topic poll on Discord.
Now stand back.
Because the idiots have been unleashed for way too long.
Tropes, man. Tropes. It's the tropes!
In a world full of tropes, two idiots talk like morons, even more so than normal.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is my normal voice. I'm Batman.
In a world where Zolgar sounded like even more of an idiot than normal.
In a world where Zolgar had almost as bad of a Batman voice as Christian Bale.
In a world where Grimm thinks his cool announcer voice is actually cool, but it isn't. This is a disaster. Invasion of the Remake is never going to talk to us again. And I don't blame them. Okay, seriously, tropes. God.
Well, let's just open up one, because I did reach out on the Twitters.
Before we get started with that, let's get our dishonorable mention out of the way. And that is, bury your gays. We're not going to get into that on this episode because we already fucking covered that on the Queer Rap episode.
If somehow you don't know what it is, it means the overused trope of killing the gay character because they're the gay character, and it's done way too often, way too many times, and it's fucking stupid, and if you want to hear us talk about that more, go listen to our episode on queer representation in media.
Okay, with that out of the way, by all means, Twitter.
Okay, so on the Twitter, I reached out for some... Basically, I asked people to do our job for us.
Stop admitting that out loud. At least tell me to stop recording if you're going to say that.
So I only got one response to that, and that is going to be from the Fandalorians. Which, I think we promoted them a few days ago. Or a few weeks ago.
They're never going to talk to us again.
Probably not. Well,
Don't blame them.
I don't know. They are teachers, so they've heard some... They've heard some shit, man. They've heard some shit.
Yeah, but you're not normally hearing that shit from grown-ass adults. You should fucking know better.
Who said we're grown-ass adults?
The government.
Fair. So, their comment on an overused trope is... And don't ask me what this trope is officially called, but, you get the two characters that meet, and they clearly know each other... And they start just acting like they're about to throw down, throwing all these insults, and they hug each other and start talking about how they missed each other so much.
So, Han Solo and Lando in Cloud City.
Yeah, and that was one of the early uses of that trope, and used in the right timing, and occasionally, that's a really fun trope. That's a really fun thing to do, but it gets overused to the point where you're just like, now when two characters meet and start, posturing and insulting, you're like...
And they're going to hug in 3, 2, 1. Oh, no, they kissed with tongue. Okay, that's new.
I'm here for that.
I'd watch it.
Or it's like they actually do throw down, and you're like, wait, they threw down? What? That's weird. That never happens.
And then they kiss with tongue. I'd still watch it.
Yeah.
It's after midnight. We have no filter recording this. You're getting what you get. I'd apologize, but
we're not sorry.
We're not sorry. There's a big trope that gets used a lot that I want to touch on. That I in some instances, okay, but where we see it and how often we see it, and specifically how it gets used in certain situations, and that is a trope of, again, don't know what these actually are named because I'm not a trope person. I don't go looking these up and spend time on the trope. What is the trope site?
TV Tropes.
Oh, yeah, that.
TVTropes.org, which I'm actually on right now.
Not a sponsor, but if you want to call us. Anyway, I don't know the actual name for this, but it's the one where in, like... You see this a lot in Creature Feature and Kaiju.
What's Kaiju have to do with this?
The movie genre, not the adorable dog.
Oh, okay.
And that is, the government is inept. And, like, yeah, to a certain point, the government is inept. But I'm talking all branches, all sort of, like, the military, the local cops. Like, there's, like, shit going down, and the cops or military are either nowhere to be seen, or have already shown up and been destroyed.
And been destroyed in a way that maybe shouldn't have happened. Because if you're talking a wholly supernatural threat that the government is completely unprepared for, then it makes a certain amount of sense for them to get destroyed if you're literally talking something that their weapons do not work against.
Depends on it, though. Like, popular genre. Zombie apocalypse. I'm sorry, the U.S. military has enough guns, soldiers, and bullets. That's not going anywhere.
And
you'd lose maybe a couple bases here and there to surprise zombie outbreaks, but...
Also, the U.S. military has enough armor, both in terms of actual personnel armor and, mobile armor, like tanks. Because zombies...
We even have... I'm sorry to cut you off here, but I just want to touch back on the armor thing real quick. We even have a class of armored vehicle specifically designed for dealing with soft target threats like zombies. The infantry fighting vehicle.
Yeah.
It's an armored personnel carrier. I'm sorry, continue what you were saying.
Zombies are not really a threat. I'm sorry.
If you get swarmed and you're unarmed, they are a problem. Even if they're the fast zombies, if you have weaponry and you're not cornered, they can be handled.
What I mean there when I say they're not a threat, I mean they're not a global disaster threat. They are not an apocalypse event.
Yeah, I mean, even in a fully supernatural zombie apocalypse where everyone who dies gets back up regardless of why they died or how far away they are from the nearest outbreak, if we're talking even less totally supernatural global zombie apocalypse, I mean, war would get really interesting really fast. But other than that,
Okay, zombie apocalypse is another topic. Zombie apocalypse is a...
I'm just saying, but this...
If you want to hear us talk about zombie apocalypse, go ahead and suggest that as a Unleashed topic, or you can actually pay us to talk about a zombie apocalypse by going to our Ko-fi page.
Shameless plug.
Hey. Oh, yeah.
All right, but yeah, just the actual trope of just... And you see this not just with the zombie apocalypse. Kaiju, we talked about this in the Godzilla episode on Idiots on Film. We have ordnance! We have ordnance that'll fucking drop these fuckers that ain't nuclear! Where is it? Why is it not being used? They either are completely ineffectual or completely wiped out.
Yeah.
Why?
And we also see this in... How often do we see this in heist movies where any kind of security or law enforcement is completely inept?
Security I can understand.
To an extent.
But, cops... Okay, so first of all, obligatory ACAB. But like, there's still a certain level of competency with a cop.
Sometimes.
And it's one that sometimes it works.
Oh yeah, it works in the right instances. Well, and that's the thing. Tropes in general, for the most part, are not problems. Even the most problematic tropes, if they're used sparingly, are not problems. Like, okay, let's go back to Bury Your Gays for just a second. Killing the gay character is not a problem.
Now, if he's the only gay character that dies,
But
or she, or they.
But also, killing the gay character in every movie, every time, nothing exists in a vacuum. And that's why some of these tropes become problematic.
Classic horror trope. The black guy dies.
Often the black guy dies first.
Yeah.
And now, I will give the modern industry props.
They've been working hard to get around that.
Yeah. But they have been really working on
But
changing things up there.
That's been a problem for a long time. Enough so the fact that the first movie I ever saw where the black guy survived was Deep Blue Sea, which is not that old, but not that old. We're old.
The one I always remember for that is Evolution.
Yeah, that's another one.
Because that one even calls it out. The black guy's like, no, I've seen this movie. The black guy always dies first.
Yep.
And, gets something really terrible happening to him, but he doesn't die.
yeah, and he survives that, and he makes it out okay.
Yeah.
He is no more damaged than he was when he went into that movie. That character had problems. Then again, every character in that movie had problems.
Yeah. That movie was terrible. That movie was terrible.
But I loved it.
That movie actually brings to mind another often overused trope that maybe isn't necessarily toxic, but it is very often overused.
Ignoring the smart guy?
Well, ignoring the smart guy, but also the complete and utter incompetent idiots who may or may not be developmentally disabled having that one piece of super useful, super relevant knowledge that otherwise is absolutely worthless.
Yep. Yeah, the guys with the shampoo in that movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that movie really played it up, and it worked in that movie because that movie was a comedy, and everything was over the top.
Yeah, some of the supernaturally horror movies, the child or somebody who's developmentally disabled might stumble onto something, and that can work because their perception is going to be different from the standard grown adult perception. But for the most part, when I see this handled, it's not handled well.
Well, and then that brings to mind another one. Ignoring the child or developmentally disabled person.
Which circles right back around to ignoring the smart guy in the room. Like, I brought this up in the Godzilla episode. You literally brought in these experts to talk to them about this situation, which you have no tactical data on, you have no prior experience with. The history of anything even remotely close to this creature has been so classified that you, a sitting admiral, have no idea about it. They tell you what's going on and what you need to do, and you completely disregard them?
Yeah, sounds about right.
What movie did I just describe? Well, you're going to say Godzilla because I just mentioned the Godzilla episode, but if I hadn't, pick a movie.
Yeah, and I mean, especially if you pick just a couple of words out of there. I mean, how often is it that some expert gets pulled in and then everyone's like, no, we're going to disregard what this expert says?
I mean, let's go back to evolution. Even when the lady scientist teamed up with the guy that had been discredited in court earlier in the movie. So him getting discredited makes sense that they weren't listening to him, right?
Yeah.
She, their own expert, goes, no, wait, this guy knows what he's talking about. Don't use fire. And the military goes, yeah, we're going to napalm them. You can't see it. I just threw my hands in the air like, why? Why do you bring in experts and then not listen to them?
So that the movie can happen.
How many tropes happened in Alien to make that movie happen? How many people didn't listen or violated protocol or God. I mean, I get it, but like, I'm tired, man. Give me some variety in the way your movie happens.
Hey, speaking of needing variety, how many movies and shows and such have a plot that entirely hinges on two characters who are around each other and have the opportunity to not having a conversation?
Yeah, I mean, that's just... I can't watch sitcoms anymore. Because that's the whole premise.
Yeah.
It's exaggerated, but that's the whole premise. And anymore, it just twinges my social anxiety.
Hey, not just sitcoms. How many episodes of Supernatural could have been completely avoided if Sam and Dean actually talked to each other?
You mean Supernatural wasn't a sitcom?
Ostensibly, no.
Oh, it's the writing in this later seasons that was a joke. My mistake. Gonna get some hate for that one. The chosen one being a teenager.
Ugh.
Get the fuck out of here with that shit. I'm tired of it.
Honestly, the trope of the chosen one in general is so overused. And then especially as a teenager, the other place where it's really heavily overused as the chosen one is the chosen one in a maybe not white culture happens to be white, or okay.
Don't get me started.
I mean, white savior is a huge problem.
It really is.
Even more so if you've got white chosen one. And another variant on that, how many fucking times do we see a ancient order of powerful mages or something similar, insert whatever your, powerful entity is, that are all women, and they're chosen one, they're the prophesied one that's coming is a man with those powers.
It's okay. You can say Dune.
Here's the thing. I'm not even thinking Dune. I'm thinking Wheel of Time.
There's a reason I only read one of those books.
I read 10 of them.
Well, yeah, but we already know you hate yourself. You don't have to brag about it.
And the thing is, that's so overused. Like I say, it's used in Dune. It's used in Wheel of Time. It's been used in a few others in some variant or another. And again, it's just...
Yeah.
I would like to see that trope subverted in a way, though.
I would like to see... I'm gonna say this real quick before I lose it, because you know how my brain works. I would actually like to see a chosen one trope where the mom or dad or whatever, the actual guardian of the chosen one, learns of this and just goes, "What? No, he's 10. Fuck that. Give me a shotgun."
So I want to see the, powerful order of women, that their chosen one is a male with the powers. Mm-hmm. And I want to see that trope subverted to that the chosen one is a trans man.
I'd be down with that.
So at which point, you still, especially because if you're talking like they biologically have these powers or something, and,
which...
It doesn't make sense, but like I say, it would twist the trope on its head in a certain way and give us trans representation in media.
And also confirm that even though this individual may have been assigned female at birth, because the prophecy says the chosen one is a man, that's gender validation, baby! I mean, you kind of see the bones of that subversion in... Well, let's go to a classic. LOTR, baby. No man can kill me. I am no man. Wording. Fuck, man. Macbeth. I love it when the prophecy gets inverted and subverted. Like, I love that shit. That's a trope I'll take breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Where, in Macbeth, they're like, I cannot die by any man of woman born. Well, basically that guy had a C-section, so, by the terms of the prophecy, bye Macbeth.
And you could also use that one for someone born of a trans man.
Yep. Born of a trans man.
Oh yeah, I've got two fathers. What?
No man, no one manly, no one sired by man. I'm a trans woman. Hi, Mom. You're saving the world great, honey. I'm proud of you. We just have a chosen one that brings, like, their mom with them. Can we do that? Can that be a thing that happens? She's just, like, cheering them on? Like she's at a sporting event?
Chosen one with helicopter parents.
Oh, hell yeah. Give me that shit. Mwah. Chef's kiss.
Okay, here we go. Chosen one. We'll go like a medieval fantasy setting.
Yep.
The Chosen One's parents are retired adventurers. And they're helicopter parents. And they actually end up doing most of the stuff because their kid is nowhere near prepared to be the Chosen One because they're freaking 13 years old.
Yeah, so it's like, mom's like a sorceress or whatever, and just like the binding chains on the infernal hell beast guardian. Okay, honey, go ahead, get your blow in.
Yeah, and basically, no, we're gonna flip it. Father is the sorcerer. Mother is the barbarian, the strong warrior. Just because if we're fucking with tropes, we are fucking with tropes.
Because you want to trigger how gay I am?
Well, that too. So, so dad, binds it, mom beats it with an inch of its life, and then, Junior comes along with their little dagger and just pokes it in the eye. I killed it!
Prophecy fulfilled! Yay! Alright, we're going home.
Can we stop for ice cream?
You know what? You stopped evil today, sweetheart. Yeah, I think we can stop for ice cream on the way home. Mom, despite being a barbarian, still has that Midwest Minnesota mom accent for some reason.
Because you don't mess with the kids.
Are you about to say that the Midwest is a barbarian savage wasteland?
Yes.
I mean, coming from Minnesota, valid.
Oh.
The frozen north. Half the year, and the rest of the time it's a humid hellscape. Anyway. Yeah, I would like to see more trope inversion. I would like to see more trope subversion. Unfortunately, we're starting to get it a little bit, but unfortunately, we're mostly getting continuations of the trope. And we've kind of spiraled out into tropes in general, I guess.
Well, and one of the things that is kind of interesting is how often trope subversion or inversion becomes a trope in and of itself.
Yeah, and you go far enough back, these tropes didn't necessarily exist. I mean, Empire Strikes Back.
I am your father.
No! It's a trope now.
And a bloody overused trope.
But it wasn't then, and if it's not the father, it's long-lost sibling, uncle, grandfather, childhood best friend.
Yourself from the future.
Yourself from the future trying to kill yourself is the dumbest thing ever, by the way.
Well, it's not so much usually trying to kill yourself. That one is done sometimes. But, yourself from the future who it ends up being your enemy because they're trying to change the past and
There's a trope we don't see as much, but which I've seen often enough. Can't decide if I want to see it more or not, and that is a sequel with a different perspective character. And at least for the first part of our movie or our video game or whatever, our antagonist, at least on the surface, appears to be the protagonist from the previous game or movie. I've seen it enough to be where I'm kind of on the fence about it.
I don't think we've seen that one really in movies much.
It happens, but not as often.
I can't think of a single movie I've seen it in.
Well, watch more movies.
I watch more movies than you do.
Well, then you just suck.
Yeah, the closest I can think of is some of the Fast and Furious films. And those are just garbage and we don't talk about them.
Hey, do not begrudge the people their brain candy. Ooh, fast cars! Pretty dudes and pretty ladies. Fuck yeah. Let the people have their bread and circus.
I personally prefer sharks.
Hot sharks?
Okay, what we need to do is we need to convince Vin Diesel to make a shark Fast and Furious movie. I don't know how it's going to work, but it needs to be done.
Well, I mean, Jason Statham's already tackled a megalodon, so, like... It's not hard.
True.
Hollywood, call us. We have more terrible ideas like this.
I may need to submit that to Made Up Movies.
The Shark and the Phineas?
Something like that.
Absolutely terrible fucking name. Alright, but, yeah, I've seen it enough. Like, that is basically the plot of Devil May Cry 4.
Oh, I mean, I know it happens a lot in video games.
And, like, I'm always torn on it because, like, yeah, it's cool, it shakes things up, but... And then you've got ones where, yeah, no, they really are an antagonist now. And that plays out... The quality of that use of the trope plays out depending on the circumstances and the property. The Prototype franchise, which is another video game series. Alex Mercer? Mason? I don't remember. But the protagonist of the first game is the antagonist of the second game, and he's just gone straight up full world domination. And it's never adequately explained why... And, like, you're given very real personal reasons for your new protagonist to want to stop him and kill him. But, I don't know. We've seen this a few other places, and again, it comes up again often enough that I'm still... Meh. I think it's starting to get overused.
Well, and it is really one of those things that how good or bad it is solely dependent on the writing, honestly, in both installments. You know, if you're in your first installment, you've got this really good, heroic protagonist, and in the time it takes to become the sequel, they've turned into a massive antagonist, and you're not, like, directly playing, like, an antagonist from the first game or something.
Yeah. Although that would actually be a cool inversion of the trope in a video game sense. Where your first game is you're playing your heroic protagonist, and then the second game you're playing as one of that game's antagonists in the aftermath, and just a perspective switch. That could be cool. But that's not what we usually get. We usually get, oh, he's bad now. And then it's either, oh, wait, lol, no, he's not. Or, yeah, no, he's a fucking asshole. Kill him.
We decided to have this character turncoat because we couldn't be creative enough to come up with a new character.
Something like that. I mean, there's also there we go, there's one to talk about. The unearned redemption arc. Hell, sometimes it's not... Calling it an arc is being incredibly genuous.
Suddenly, I'm good now.
Yeah, oh, God.
Well, okay.
You know what? I'm going to take any opportunity to shit on Ubisoft. Far Cry 5, the main antagonist is a religious nut job. And when I say religious nut job, I mean cult leader. Violent cult leader. And then the game is like, oh yeah, no, it turns out he was right and we were headed for the apocalypse. Everything sucks. Well, okay, that's shit.
Just because you're right does not give you the excuse to be a violent cult leader.
And then there's a spin-off direct sequel. Oh, well, now that the apocalypse happened, he's all good and shit. He told his people to lay down their guns, get back to nature, and he went into self-imposed exile to reflect on the works of God or whatever the fuck. And you, as part of the narrative, are supposed to either condemn him or basically forgive him? in this completely unearned, hackneyed, forced fucking redemption arc from...
I got another one for you. So, it kind of works, but it's still not exactly a full redemption. Darth Vader.
Yeah, like, they plant the seeds here and there throughout the original trilogy, but it's not in your face, it's not obvious, where... No! He doesn't want... He has spent the last 19 years under the assumption that he had no family left. His mother was dead. His wife was dead. With his children. And the man he considered his brother disabled him and left him to burn on a volcanic hellscape. So, no family left, really.
And even when he finds out he has a son, he isn't trying to change sides to be good. He is trying to recruit his son to rule the galaxy with him.
Yeah, but that's where our seeds are planted. He cares about his son. He doesn't... He says it in their first main fight. Don't make me destroy you. He doesn't want to. And it's not in your face. And it could have been developed a whole lot better. For sure. But he cares about his son. Didn't stop him from cutting his hand off, but he does care on some level. The part of him that is Anakin Skywalker is not as dead as he wants it to be. And so then we go to the turncoat moment. What's happening? Luke's being tortured to death with lightning.
Yeah, he impulsively acts, saves his son, and ends up dying, which, okay, that kind of works. You gotta get that final sacrifice, but it's not really a full redemption arc.
It's not a full redemption arc.
Darth Vader is still a villain, and I'm sorry, he dies a villain.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting is there is one of the comics runs where he survives, kind of an AU alternate timeline thing, and he spends all of his time going around the galaxy doing good work and basically dresses in identical armor, so it's not like he's hiding who he is, but it's now white. And he's going around the galaxy and just basically trying to help solve problems and basically just be like, yeah, I'm an asshole, but I'm trying to make up for it. But that is a redemption arc.
I'm sorry, that sounds like a bad fan fiction.
Right? So, comics are wild, man. No matter what property it is, comics are wild. Now, where we see the unearned redemption arc in Star Wars really shine out...
Kylo Ren?
Kylo Ren.
At least he dies at the end, too.
Yeah, they were trying to go... I know they were trying to go for the parallels to Vader's redemption, but Vader's redemption wasn't a redemption. And... Oh, God. At least Vader's made more sense. Like, Kylo's was, the woman who just fatally wounded me is now healed me, and then my mother came to me in a Force vision and talked to me and then died. I'm a good guy now. No!
Yeah, Kylo Ren also did not earn a redemption.
Yeah.
You know, they could have...
Shit, he arguably earned even less of a redemption than fucking Vader. Like, Vader's wasn't even a true redemption. It was just no, you know what? I'm not going to let my kid die today.
Yeah, I mean, people could point out, oh, well, Kylo Ren killed Snoke. He killed Snoke because he wanted to take Snoke's place.
Yeah, he killed Snoke. He also killed his own dad!
And, okay,
also,
yes, he did kill the Knights of Ren.
I want to talk about something real quick here, okay? If your calculus for how good a person is predicated entirely on who they have killed,
yeah,
that needle is pointing all the way in the red. I'm sorry.
Not entirely true. If they've killed a bunch of Nazis, and that's all they've killed.
Excuse you. We've had this conversation. Nazis are not people. They have chosen to stop being people. They made that conscious decision. They get to live with the consequences. Now, if they want to stop being a Nazi, they can become a person again.
You mean they can die with the consequences?
I mean, in a perfect world, you bet. Punch more Nazis, kids.
Two Idiots and a Dog does not condone violence unless it's against Nazis. But if you're going to punch Nazis, be sure to first use proper form. And second, do please be prepared to deal with assault charges because, unfortunately...
It is still illegal to punch a Nazi. It shouldn't be, but it is.
But definitely use proper form. Please don't break your fist.
That does remind me of another trope.
What was that?
It was Nazis the whole time! I know, Nazis are make for easy, fun villains because, let's be honest, killing Nazis is fun. Seeing Nazis die is fun.
I've got a counter to that one.
Uh-huh.
And this one I do feel is overused. The not Nazi Nazis. These are not Nazis, but they're Nazis,
Yeah, I mean, the Empire in Star Wars gets a pass.
The Empire wasn't Nazis. The Empire was America. And if you don't believe that, look it up. George Lucas actually directly compares the Empire to, what was it, Korean War America?
I need to go ahead and correct you on something.
What was that?
Have you looked at America lately?
Hey, back then we weren't Nazis. As much.
The fact that we gotta make that fucking caveat anymore, God. Apparently it's politics night here at Two Idiots and a Dog.
Yeah, just a little glimpse behind the curtain. We recorded this and the episode on gatekeeping the same night. Yeah.
It just the we're Nazis but we're not is annoying. Just anything even Nazi adjacent anymore. Like, I get it. Nazi antagonists are fun because, well, killing Nazis is a great pastime. And I am legally required to say in fiction.
And honestly, yeah, unless you're not a good person at all, you never feel bad seeing whatever happens to a Nazi.
Yeah, I now some properties get a pass on this because fighting Nazis is in their DNA. The Wolfenstein game franchise is literally about killing Nazis. Always has been.
When did Wolfenstein get so woke?
It's always been about killing Nazis. Yeah, I saw that post making the rounds back in the day and I was just like, oh my god. What the hell? It's one of those comments you read and you're just like, please be trolling, but deep in your heart, you know
they're serious.
Oh, God.
Like all the right wingers that start complaining about Rage Against the Machine.
When did Rage Against the Machine get woke? What machine did you think they were raging against? Your parents? No.
I thought they were raging against the dishwasher.
And if you want to hear us talk more about that, you can go ahead and go in our Discord and vote for It Was Always Political as an unleashed topic. It makes the rounds in the polls quite frequently and hasn't won yet, but if you want to hear us talk about it, make it happen.
Or you can pay us to do it on Ko-fi. Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Plug, baby. Do. The fuck is wrong with us?
Lack of sleep.
And also we're idiots.
We're professional idiots.
We are.
We make like $35 a month.
You pay us for this.
Woo!
Why? I mean, thank you. It's appreciated. We do appreciate it, but why? Oh, right. Our unbiased and entertaining opinions. Oh. I don't know what podcast they listen to, but it can't have been ours. But yeah, the fact is, because nothing exists in a vacuum, Nazis are bad guys, unless your franchise is already built on it, it gotta go. And unfortunately, I think that also means it's time to retire Iron Sky.
What about Kung Fury? Did you know they are actually working on a Kung Fury 2?
I mean, that one schlocky 80s ridiculousness, that one gets a pass. Also, didn't he already kick the crap out of Hitler?
Well, I don't think he was... yes, actually. Because, the greatest...
Time travel. And
time travel and...
Kung Fu Hitler, no less.
No, not Kung Fu Hitler. Kung Fuhrer.
I just took psychic damage being reminded of that.
Thank you.
God.
Fuck this. I'm gonna go back and hang out with the fucking laser raptors. God. And
What year is this?
The Viking Age.
Oh, that explains the laser raptors.
No, it doesn't!
If you have not watched Kung Fury, it's like 15 minutes of pure, unadulterated, horrible 80s bliss.
It's free! It's on YouTube! Go watch it!
It is the best 80s movie ever made.
And also the worst 80s movie ever made. And that's why we love it.
Oh.
Alright, oh, yeah, there's a fun one. And I know why this trope exists. But it's still irritating. Oh yeah, that character died between the sequels. This usually happens because you can't get the actor back for whatever reason. But there's...
Yeah, the actor died, or is busy, or...
just said no.
They look at the script and like, oh, hell no.
Yeah, and instead of recasting or a throwaway line about how they're busy elsewhere, they're like, oh no, they died. They're dead. Oh, what happened? Oh, contrived plot occurrence.
And there are occasions where this works. As much as a lot of people hate it, I think it works in Alien 3 because the Alien franchise is about hopelessness. So...
Alien 3 is the exact example I was thinking of that I fucking hate.
I will die on the hill that Alien 3 is a solid closure to the franchise.
At least you'll be dead.
Like Newton Hicks.
God damn you. I will feast on your entrails.
And I understand why people don't like it, but it's like I say, in Alien 3 specifically, it does work because it fits the themes and tone of Alien.
Doesn't mean I have to fucking like it.
But when you get it in something that's not a dire, hopeless franchise that is about, honestly, pointless deaths.
Even Hellboy, the Ron Perlman Hellboy movies, dealt with this a little bit. Myers didn't come back. But they didn't kill him. They made some offhand remark about how he got transferred to, like, Siberia or whatever the hell. Because... And it was a point of contention where they were, like, looking at Hellboy and be like, you're the one who did it. Why is that why you did it? Because you did it. Like, it was... came up in, like, an argument or something. Like, I get it that you have to explain the absence of an established character. But, oh, they died. Is so fucking lazy. Like, MCU. Natalie Portman didn't want to come back for the longest time, so it was, well, they just kind of left it vague about how they broke up and she doesn't talk to Thor anymore. You know, that type of thing.
Which then they actually show that in
Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder.
Which I think is probably my favorite Thor movie now.
Yeah. But it's too new to put any spoilers in.
Yeah, even though you know the one I want to.
I will say you can say the word
Thunder Bunny. Am I going to give you context for that? Nope.
Also a good movie, by the way.
Oh yeah, you just saw that today, didn't you?
Yep. Nope. Nope. I am very disappointed there were no nope monsters in it. Even though technically they were actually yip monsters, but then they started saying nope.
Well, you're just going to have to go get your money back from Jordan Peele.
Yep.
Yep.
Damn thee, Jordan!
Stop making good movies!
It's actually the only of his movies I've seen.
Really?
I mean, Us and Get Out are just not my style.
They also deal with things that aren't necessarily endemic to our experiences.
Yeah. But
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We need these movies to exist.
And honestly, white people should see them. It's
Absolutely.
just they're not my style of horror movie, so
Yeah.
I might poke them eventually. But I just haven't gotten around to it. I have too much to watch, too much to do. Even when it's not podcast related, I have too much to watch and too much to do. But there's trying to think. I want to pull like one really just noxious, foul, odious, stenchful trope out for like wrapping up, and I'm just not really coming up with any. Just one of those tropes that just 110% needs to fucking die.
okay, I've got one. Okay. So first, I've got another trope to mention, and if we want to wrap up, then I'll close with this one.
Okay. Start with
the hero's parents are dead.
My parents are dead!
Or, whatever their parental figure is, Okay. I mean, how often do we see this happen? It is a superhero trope that the superhero does not have parents.
Yep.
And also, we see it happen so often with the Chosen One that, like, right off the bat, the Chosen One's parents gets killed, or the Chosen One is an orphan already, or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, another one that is a problem, and not the one I was thinking of.
Yep.
It's not so much a trope, but it is, and it needs to fucking go away. Whitewashing.
Oh, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit with a rake.
So one of the most egregious examples of whitewashing I have ever seen in media is the Sci-Fi Channel adaptation of Ursula K. Le Guin's Earth-Sea trilogy.
Sorry. Threw up a little there.
Okay, if you have never read the Earth-Sea books, the main character comes from an archipelago, and is described as being dark-skinned. I believe, based on the description, he's kind of Pacific Islander style.
From the descriptions I have read, that sounds about accurate.
So he's not like, he's not like African or something, but he's got much darker skin than...
Yeah, Pacific Islander, Polynesian, that type of thing.
And this actually comes up as an important thing in the series, because at one point, he travels further north and gets to a land where the people are pale-skinned. And there's factors here involved where neither of them have ever seen someone who looks like the other, and there's a lot of distrust going on. The Sci-Fi Channel adaptation, the guy they got to play the main character was whiter than I am.
That's pretty white.
Yeah, he was white as fuck. And they also fucked up that adaptation in several other ways, to the point where Ursula K. Le Guin, because this was released before she died, begged people not to watch it.
Yeah. For my money, the most egregious one that I've seen comes from a very big property.
What was that?
The Ancient One in the MCU. Now, to their credit, they decided they were changing the character around, and they didn't go with a white guy. Thank fuck. But we still took an Asian man, and I know why they didn't want to make him from his country of origin. I cannot remember what that country of origin is off the top of my head. I think it was Tibet or something like that. I understand why they don't want to do it for the Chinese audience, because we're not getting into that whole kerfluffle. But they made the Ancient One from a Asian man into a white woman. That is fucked.
To her credit, she played that role amazingly.
Yes, to be clear, I am not coming down on the actress. I love her. She is amazing. Tilda Swinton is amazing. I love her to death. I mean, she's one of the things that made the Keanu Reeves Constantine movie so enjoyable. I also really enjoyed her in Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe.
She is awesome.
Just that vague androgyny thing she has going on is chef's kiss. Goals, as the kids would say. So, to be clear, I'm not coming down on her. She took a job, she did the job well. Whoever made that casting decision.
Yeah, and the Ancient One isn't a well-known enough character that I would expect her to know who that character was before she took the role.
Yeah, and even then, it's Marvel money. You say yes.
Oh yeah, but at the same time, if you know, there's still a little bit of a about the person taking the role, but
I'm still not going to blame any actor who takes it.
Oh yeah, no, neither am I.
Regardless of if they knew or didn't. But I will blame whoever made that casting decision. Whoever decided that for that role they were going to cast a white woman.
I will
hold that person accountable.
I will counter one place where I would blame the actor too. If they cast a white actor play Black Panther, I would blame the hell out of the actor for saying yes to that.
Yeah, we're not going to get into what my reaction to that would be for legal reasons.
And, I can think of another great classic example of whitewashing, but I don't think I want to get into religion right now. But now, what's apparently in the Marvel comics, there is some serious whitewashing on the other pantheons.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. It's
also,
hella bad.
Yeah, we see it all the time. Like, how many things do we see the Egyptian gods played by white people?
Too many. There is a movie called Egyptian Gods.
Gods of Egypt.
Whatever. White cast.
It's got like one actual Egyptian person in the entire cast. At least entire major cast.
Yeah, I did. Okay. Yeah.
And, I mean, also, as much as we love it, The Mummy.
Yeah. God, I love that movie, though. Anyway, what was the last one you had? The one that's just gotta fucking die.
Okay, I'm going to preface this with a quick warning that the topic of sexual assault is about to come up.
Oh, yeah, okay. I don't even know what it is, and it's gotta die.
So, if that's a problem for you, go ahead and just skip to the end of the episode. Rape as a character builder.
Fuck off.
And that includes attempted rape.
I
am looking directly at you, Joss Whedon.
Fuck off with that shit. It is not good.
And as a side thing, also, of course, I mean, honestly, any case of using rape to further a story, whether it is to, give the heroine a tragic backstory, or have a moment to make her strong, or have a reason for the hero to want to kill the villain, or rape is not a good story element. I'm sorry. No, actually, I'm not. I'm also looking at you, George R.R. Martin.
I'm looking at the showrunners of that fucking atrocity because they cranked that dial to 11. They added rapes.
Actually, from my understanding, they toned it down from the books.
Not from what I was told.
I wonder then. Because I've heard the opposite. I've heard that the books are actually even rapier than the show.
Either way, it's bad. Okay? It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. I think I'm going to agree. Bad.
Very bad.
Fucking Christ. I'm all pissed off. I hope you're happy. Fucking just, stories about it need to exist.
Yes, they do.
But the problem we're running into is that it's being used in cheap... They're whoring it out as a concept.
Yeah.
They're painting it up, and to bear in mind, I am not using that term to denigrate sex workers. This is much like the act itself. This isn't exactly consensual. It is being painted up and dressed up and shoved out and forced into the masses for cheap thrills and cheap emotional impact. It's just like if you have another trope that needs to fucking die is you've got the cheerful happy character who gets murked, who gets fucking fridged. It's for that cheap shock emotional value. Fuck you, be a better writer.
And also, one of the other major problems with rape as a story element is so often the ones where we see it the most are male creators. Because, Octavia Butler's Earthseed cycle. Honestly, rape does play an important part in that series. But how it's handled is a very different matter, partially because it's written by a woman.
Yeah.
And it's...
I'll be honest, this is one of those things where I'm not even sure. So, this isn't a trope per se, but it does tie into everything we're talking about with this last little gamut of tropes, fridging and sexual assault for cheap thrills, kicks, emotional shock value, whatever the fuck. Honestly, tragedy for cheap shock value in general just needs to fucking die. But there is the prevailing theory that you should write what you know. No, that's fucking horseshit. If you only write what you know, what you write is going to be boring as shit. Unless you have lived a very interesting life. No, what you do to be a good writer is you research. You bring on people who know the topic, etc. I'll be honest, sexual assault, shit like that, I don't think even doing that research will help you in any way, fucking way, shape, or form. Especially if you are writing it from a male perspective onto a female character. There is no fucking level of sensitivity reader or expert advisor that will make that not just be fucking cheap and tawdry. And that is coming from somebody who is a mab, okay? That is coming from somebody whose co-host is a cis man. Sorry guys, we did get spicy. But it's important. It needs to be said. It's bullshit. Stop doing it.
And especially, don't do it for laughs.
Don't. Oh God.
I'm gonna get some hate here. Young Frankenstein is a terrible movie.
It has terrible parts. Definitely terrible parts.
I'm sorry. I think that part is terrible enough that it renders the whole movie terrible.
Revenge of the Nerds.
I have never seen it and probably never will.
There's a scene where someone thinks someone is someone else because they're wearing a full costume. I'm sorry, that's fucking right.
Yup.
And then she ends up with him at the end of the movie. I'm like, nah. Nah.
It's okay, Kaiju.
You activated my trap card. Grimm's Rage!
I mean, trap is another trope.
Oh, God. Fucking...
Okay, I think we need to not get into any of the tropes surrounding...
Transphobia is bad. There, we're done.
Yeah. Any of the tropes surrounding transphobia, they can all die. They can all fucking die.
Great, now you got me all worked up.
You know what's a positive trope?
Kaiju is adorable.
I was going to say cute puppies, but yes, Kaiju is adorable.
The dog lives is probably my favorite trope.
Did you know that there is a website you can go to find out if animals survive a movie?
Yep. I think it's great.
What's actually really interesting is that website has expanded to cover all kinds of trigger warning content.
I'm very glad for that. The world needs it. This episode's gonna need it.
Yeah, like I said,
even if I go through, the topics are too important for me to cut completely. I'm sorry if you have reached this part of the episode, and even with our heads up, that was hard for you and you're unhappy about it. I apologize. I do. I genuinely do not want any of our audience to feel harmed or uncomfortable by our podcast, but I feel like these topics need to be fucking addressed.
Yeah.
They're just so important. And good job finding the tropes that needed to fucking die to end on, because sexual assault and fridging.
Yeah.
Both need to fucking go. And if you don't understand what I mean by fridging, I mean anytime the character dies just for plot or character development.
Yeah, basically, specifically, Woman in the Fridge is the trope of the female character dying solely for, or existing solely to die to further the male protagonist's story.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible. It needs to die. It's been being called out for decades.
Thank you, Gail Simone.
Love that woman.
I finally read one of her comics recently.
Yeah, how'd you like it?
It was fun.
Yeah, I like her.
In fact, this episode will probably be going up well after my episode on that book.
Yeah. So, I don't want to leave us on a downer, but I'm not going to cover any more tropes. I just want to talk a little bit about tropes in general. You know, do that thing I do where I end the episode kind of philosophizing a little bit about our topic. If that's cool with you. Kaiju, kill. Okay, seriously though. Tropes are fun. Tropes are... Here's the thing. Tropes are not bad. Tropes are simply a classification of existing story elements that are recurring. I mean, we've had these since time immemorial, but working them as tropes, categorizing them, classifying them, codifying them, that's a relatively recent thing in pop culture. Sort of.
Is he still talking?
Because there's one that's been around for a very long time.
Hero's Journey?
The monomyth, the hero's journey. That's a trope, folks!
Oh, there's, honestly, the Chosen One trope has been around forever. The prophecy, or the Promised Land. You know? Yep. And I don't mean that specifically referring to the biblical Promised Land.
Just in general, shit, man, it was in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Like, and you definitely can't try to tell me there was anything biblical about that fucking game other than, Sephiroth being referred to as a one-winged angel.
Yeah, there's, tropes have
now the song's stuck in my head. Great job. Played myself.
Tropes have been around forever, and they're, with certain exceptions, tropes are not inherently bad. And even most of the more egregious tropes, I say most because there are exceptions.
Like the two we just covered, they gotta fucking go. Forever.
Most of them are not problems on their own. They become a problem with the being overused. Like, okay, the black guy dies first.
That happens a couple of times. Okay.
Yeah.
It happens in every horror movie.
Yeah, when it becomes a thing where you notice it. Also, honestly, if there's only one black guy in your movie, that's kind of a bit of a problem too. But that's beside the point.
I mean, about the only place where the black guy dies would be appropriate to me personally is if your entire cast is black, because if anybody dies, the black guy dies.
Well, and at this point, that's the case. But if you're talking in a vacuum, in a vacuum, none of the other issues existing, then the black guy dying first isn't that big of a deal in a vacuum. But nothing exists in a vacuum.
Yeah. So, I know we have some creative types who listen to us. Why? I don't fucking know, but I know you're there. As you're doing your creative projects, it doesn't matter what that is. If you're writing fan fiction, if you're trying to write original fiction, shit, if you're just planning a D&D campaign, or tabletop RPG of choice.
Or you're making some stupid podcast. What the fuck is wrong with you podcasters?
God, podcasters are weird, man. But as you're working on your creative project, I want you to reflect on the tropes, figure out how they've been used, and then figure out which ones apply to the work you're working on, and really examine them a little bit. I'm not saying these tropes as a tool are not bad. The codifying of tropes is not... To put it another way, use your tropes, but avoid cliches.
And always ask yourself if you need to use that trope or if you can do something another way. This, again, there's, okay, you're writing a Chosen One story. Yeah, you're probably stuck with the Chosen One trope, but what can you do with it? Can you subvert it in any way? Can you change things up so it's not just another Chosen One story?
And there are definitely ways to do that. If you need an example, let's go back to the original trope, the granddaddy trope of them all, the monomyth, the hero's journey. Every property ever written involves some fragment, if not the whole, hero's journey, because all it is a extrapolation of the development of a character, your protagonist, as they are going through whatever story you are telling. And sometimes that means they get a full circular arc around and all the points get hit in a specific order. Sometimes it means they only go halfway. Or sometimes it means it's a short story and and that whole journey gets abbreviated. Like, how you use it is what matters. Unless it's the last two we talked about. Stop using those.
Seriously, stop using them. Please.
That's it for this week. If you like what we do, please give us a like, follow, rating, all that nonsense on your favorite podcatcher.
You can also support us on Patreon for special bonus content and episodes a week early, or tip us on Ko-fi. You can find those and our social media platforms and Discord server in the show notes.
Also, be sure to give our friends some love, whoever the fuck that is. Who'd be friends with us?
You know what? Let's promo Once Upon a Wasteland this week.
Once upon a time, 27 years after the bombs fell, there were two people, a vault dweller and a California girl. They met, and sparks flew. That's when things got interesting. Once Upon a Wasteland is their story. Follow Elizabeth Kirby and Odessa Valdez as they pursue their happily ever after in the post-apocalyptic Appalachian wasteland of Fallout 76. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and many other podcasting platforms. Once Upon a Wasteland, a Fallout 76 love story. Available now.
Last, but certainly not least, we want to give a quick shout out to all of our supporters on Patreon and Ko-fi, especially these idiots.
Random Warrior, Rain, and Athen Mortis, who is still banned.
Eternally.
You know what you did.
And will do.
It is destined.
In a world where Athen Mortis is permabanned.